us today as we welcome Chairwoman Lisa Cupid back.
Yes.
How are you, Chairwoman?
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here with you as well. So this has been a really busy week as Cobb kind of kicks off discussions for both our fiscal year 2021 millage rate and our 2022 budget. Both of them proposed. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yes, we are grateful that we have had some rebounds in our digest, so we will be proposing no millage increase for this year because of the strong returns that we've had, about a 5.5% increase, and we owe a lot of that to a very strong housing market that we've had here in the county. We've also been fortunate too in getting through this pandemic and being able to offset some of our operational burdens from some of the federal dollars that we've received. So again, we're pleased to be able to announce there'll be no millage rate impact to our constituents. When I look at the budget, I consider this to be somewhat of a meat and potatoes budget. Last year we were on rice and beans during the pandemic, just had to tighten up. But here we're able to get back to some of our staples, address our pension and health care costs to the county, as well as address merit, making sure that our employees are being supported, and address capital maintenance. All of our beautiful facilities, we want to make sure that they can continue into the future, so we'll put money towards that. We'll also see a continuation of some agenda items we've approved to support the DA in his efforts to move through low level of offenders through the system more quickly, and also address some continual requests from the probate court.
That's wonderful. I know our property owners are glad to hear no millage rate increase for this year.
No millage rate increase.
That's always a good thing to hear, and we're trying to keep a level of service and continue to provide great services, and Cobb is really just trying to figure out how you do that, but it's great to hear that there'll be no millage rate increase this year.
Yes. Now, in full disclosure, even though we have no millage rate increase, our budget is still proposed as a tax increase because, as I shared, we have a 5.5% increase in our digest. That means we have more of our general fund dollars coming into the county. So I don't want residents to be alarmed when they see that we have a tax increase that we have to publicize it as that it's not a millage rate increase. We are not going up on their tax rate.
The millage rate is staying the same, but a lot of people, we know it's a housing boom going on. A lot of people's property values have soared, so that kind of adds to the valuation, but our millage rate is staying steady.
That is true, which is why we always want to continue to advocate that residents take advantage of our floating homestead tax exemption so that you can lock in that tax rate that you have when you first bought your property.
Now, Chairwoman, this is your first budget presenting as chair, but you've been here for the budget process for 8 years previously, and you've always been an advocate of people being much more involved in the budget process, of the board being more involved in forming the budget, department heads, the public having more input. So how may the budget forming process be different going forward?
Yes, we will actually be working on next year's budget this year. Soon after we pass this one, come this fall, we will start a series of budget meetings to make sure that we are taking a comprehensive look at what all of our needs are across the organization so that we can move into next year's budget cycle and budget deliberations with as much information on hand to make sure we're making the right financial decisions for this county for not only next year but for the years to follow.
So this will be a much longer, more intricate process of really making sure everybody's voice is heard and we really know what's going on in the county as you form the budget for fiscal year 2023.
Certainly.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, actually, at the BOC meeting, it was a pretty intensive meeting. There was a lot of different topics covered, and we heard from the nonprofit organizations.
Yes.
You talked about some of the federal funds that we've received that have really helped buoy the county during the pandemic, and the nonprofits came in and kind of gave us an encouraging update about the emergency rental assistance program money that's being distributed to residents.
Yes. We are fortunate that we received emergency rental assistance funds of about $23 million. And we have been working feverishly with 5 nonprofit organizations to get those monies out. We are fortunate that we have been able to disperse 25% of those funds to hundreds of families across the county. You can tell if you've been tuning in to our Board of Commissioners meetings that we still have a lot of families who are in need, but we wanted to assure them that we are doing all that we can to abide by our guidelines that have been set by the federal government to get dollars out and to keep roofs over people's heads. Now, with that being stated, we did learn that there is an administrative fee limitation with those dollars. So I think it became our charge after that meeting to see how we can look towards other resources to help make sure that our nonprofit organizations have the staff to be able to respond more if they are able. But I just want to commend them for going above and beyond in their heroic efforts to be able to provide within 3 months' time more monies than some of them have even provided in a full year in times past.
Wow. Because these nonprofits, they are administering this program, but they are still doing all of their other duties and missions that they regularly do. So
exactly.
With the same amount of staff and the same amount of time in a day. So it really is a valiant effort to have this added program and still run the programs that they had previously.
Certainly. And they're doing this because they're committed to Cobb County families. They have been in our communities making sure that they're helping to stabilize households, and they want to continue to do this through the pandemic, which is why many of them stepped up to become a recipient of these funds. And so again, I want to commend them, but also just encourage our residents to know we are working as feverishly as we can, but if any of them are having a hardship, please still continue to contact their commissioners so that we can help them. You know, there's one thing if they're having a difficulty with that process, but one-on-one, we're still here to help individuals in the county.
Absolutely. And I know about a quarter of the funds have been distributed, but, you know, one of the issues is people maybe not knowing about the program. So one of the things that the county has done is we did a mailer, a mass mailer, where we sent about 31,000 mailers to various apartment complexes in the county to really try to help spread the word about this program, how people can apply, and how it can really help them.
Yes, and this is all about partnership and having people at the table. Through conversations with our communications director, our chief magistrate judge, commissioners, we knew that there was an information gap. And so I'm grateful that we were able to get those mailers out so that people are aware and can take advantage of this program.
That's wonderful. Now, at the meeting as well this week, we heard from Dr. Memark, and maybe not as encouraging as the message has been in the past, as cases of COVID are starting to rise again with the Delta variant and things of that nature.
Yeah.
What should people take from her message, and what message do you have for residents as we continue to battle this pandemic? You know, we kind of want to feel like it's over, but we're still in the thick of it. So what message do you have for residents?
We have certainly come a long way since this time last year, but we still have some ways to go. And many like myself who got their vaccination shot, you know, we've seen ourselves on the other side of things and have enjoyed being able to walk without our masks and be able to convene with others. But what we did not anticipate was the Delta variant taking off the way that it has. And there are certainly cases that are causing us to actually see an increase in the rate of transmission of COVID. We were once down in a rate of 50 out of 100,000 people. Now we're at over 70 out of 100,000 people. And so I just want to encourage people to still use the same caution we were using before. And the main thing I can encourage people to do is to get vaccinated. Even though there's a lot of controversy about vaccinations, the reality is as people got vaccinated, as vaccinations increased, the rates of transmission decreased. I can't deny that fact. And so I just can't encourage people enough to do what you can to safeguard yourself. You know, I was listening to an announcement on the radio yesterday about the vaccines, and I heard one reporter say that a vaccine is like putting on your seatbelt. It doesn't necessarily prevent crashes, but it does make you a lot safer. And getting your vaccine will reduce the spread and hopefully get through it faster if people just get vaccinated. And so I'm grateful for the team over at Cobb Douglas Public Health for getting out in the communities. We used to have that big, large vaccination site, but now they have transitioned to getting out to where people are. And hopefully we can reach more people who have not been vaccinated to make sure that that they are doing so, because we've got to get past this.
I think the seatbelt analogy is a great analogy. And as you mentioned, we don't have the big site, excuse me, at Gemma Park anymore, but there are excuse me, there are tons of vaccination events out in the community. I know Maple House Complex is doing something, and just all over, so people can visit Cobb and Douglas Public Health's website. CORE is an organization that's helping a lot, so there really are plenty of opportunities for people to get vaccinated.
Certainly there are, and I want to commend the many volunteers over with the Mableton Improvement Coalition for helping to partner with CORE at the Maple House. I also want to thank our Parks and Recreation staff, as we've been working with different organizations that are having back-to-school events, and we'll be having vaccinations on site there. So please want to encourage the public to please get out, get vaccinated, take advantage of these events that are in your community.
Get vaccinated. Still practice washing your hands and keeping your distance and all those things as well.
Wearing
your
mask.
mask and all those wonderful things as well, because we want to get to the end of this pandemic.
Yes, we do.
Well, we have some other funds coming in from the federal government, some American Rescue Plan funds that we will be receiving. Are there any thoughts of plans of how Cobb County may use these new federal funds?
Yes. I've been here through the CARES distribution last year, where we had a lot of money to give out in a short amount of time, and we did our best to address a lot of the pressing needs on the county, to address housing, food insecurity, to help our small businesses. But with this new funding, with the American Rescue Plan, we have more time to give out a little bit more money, and so we've decided to be strategic in how we dole out those dollars, to take advantage of a consultant to make sure we're maximizing opportunity to address the public health pandemic, but to also use those funds towards economic recovery, as well as address some other possibilities with those fundings. Funds can also be used to address infrastructure like water, sewer, and broadband, but they can also be used to help households and small businesses and industries and essential workers, and we just want to make sure we're getting this right as a county. With that being said, we have used some of our ARP dollars to address some immediate pressing needs. We know food insecurity is something that can't wait, and so we've utilized ARP dollars to help many of our nonprofits get food out to the community. We've also planned on using dollars to help our court system and our magistrate court to get through some of the evictions cases that may come before his desk when the moratorium ends at the end of this month. And there also is a request for Superior Court to address the backlog of cases that they've had. And so while there's some pressing needs that we've been able to take a look at immediately, our overall goal is to be strategic so we can maximize these funds.
That sounds wonderful. Well, Chairwoman, it's been a great joy to sit down and talk with you as we kind of catch up with things coming up. In the next week or so, we have more public hearings coming up on the budget and on the millage rate, where people can come and kind of share their input.
Yes, we're looking forward to that. Again, no millage rate increase for this year, and again, we're getting back to the meat and potatoes of local government, making sure we're taking care of our infrastructure, our buildings, making sure we're taking care of the people who are providing services that you expect and deserve, ensuring that our pension and health care costs are being taken care of, but also supporting our men and women in public safety. We'll be implementing the first step of the Step and Grade program that we were able to start this year in March, and looking forward to helping to instill confidence in them that we're supporting them as they support us in keeping our communities safe.
Wonderful. Well, Chairwoman, thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.